And we are live. What's going on, guys? So Google is set to report earnings after the market closes today, and Google is pushing. Google's pushing pre-market. I'm sorry, not pre-market. Right before the market closes, it's up 2.55%, and due to its move, it's driving the rest of the market up. NASDAQ market was incredibly bullish today for no reason. There is no positive news. There is nothing, absolutely nothing to justify this push up. There's hope that there is going to be some form of negotiation between China and the US, but there's literally nothing that has actually been reported, yet markets are pushing. Again, markets were oversold. They've been selling off for the past few months due to this trade war. It's really funny that it's how desperate the markets are for them to recover. So we'll see how Google reports earnings today. Google, again, is the first $1 trillion company to report earnings during this Q1 of 2025. So let's go ahead and prep for it. So what's up? What's up? Good afternoon. How are we doing today? How we doing? How we doing? Y'all's puts getting cooked. I don't know anyone here that trades options, but we don't trade options. But if that's what you do, yeah, good luck. Thank you for coming live. Of course, I appreciate you guys taking time and tuning on in and asking for me to go live. So happy to do it for you guys. I guess we could, yep. All right, it looks like we are live. Yep, we have about 500 of you guys here. Hopefully it's not too much to ask for you guys to drop a thumbs up. I'm going to wait till we hit that 1,000 mark for the viewers. And then once we do, we'll start getting into the quick expectations of what the market is expecting from Google. Does that sound like a plan? Is that cool? What's going on, Fabian? What's up? What's up? I rather love the mustache. Thank you. I'm sick of holding this MSTR. I bet I would be too. How's MSTR doing today? Oh, pretty sideways. It's up about 1%. But again, markets really have no reason to be pushing up. We'll see. We'll see if this is the positive catalyst the market's been praying for. Will Google exceed market's expectation? And if it does, great. If it's anything like Tesla, dude, if Google reports terrible earnings, but then Trump goes and sends out another tweet, something has to be done about it. Homeboy can't keep desperately saving the market. What's up? What's up? All right, we're getting pretty close. NASDAQ still pushing. We got 7 minutes left before the market closes. We got Tesla pushing up for no reason after reporting terrible earnings. Isn't it funny when companies report terrible earnings when their guidance is absolutely terrible, yet markets still try to recover, trying to feed into the bull trap? Reasons are Elon is stepping back from Doge. That's not a reason. Everyone knew he was stepping back. He was only supposed to be in Doge for 130 days. That's not news. That's like telling you, like us celebrating that I'm going to close this live stream. Well, eventually I'm going to close this live stream, right? It's assumed. Again, nothing positive. Nothing positive was announced during Tesla's earnings. Where's the robo-taxi? Where's the Optimus robot? Where's the Tesla Roadster? Very simple, right? Tesla is not growing as a company. I mean, there's no reason to argue it. It's just it is what it is. All right. Google trading at 159.30. No matter how bad it is, I mean, if you look at Tesla, Google has to go up after this. I mean, Google is like a really solid company, right? It's not like Tesla, where Tesla, there's a lot of hype. Tesla's also ran by Elon. So there's a lot of, like, Tesla would not be where it's at today, trading at a 110 times its PE ratio is 110 times its earnings. Tesla would not be there or holding at these levels if it wasn't for Elon, right? Elon is like a very unique and special CEO for Tesla. Like, that's just common sense. We have to acknowledge it. Google is just like an absolute monster of a company. Um, it doesn't trade like a meme stock. It's consistently bullish over a long period of time. And it's really cool to see. It does have downturns. It does tend to find its support right around that moving average, and then it recovers. So we'll see if this is the pullback that we were all waiting for, and to see if we're in the early stages of a possible reversal. I know Google's a company a lot of people are investing into, and it makes sense. It 100% makes sense to want to invest in Google long term. With that being said, does that mean that Google can't sell off anymore? Well, that's definitely not the case, right? I wish we had a certain answer for you on, hey, by this date we should be recovering or back at previous all-time highs. It's all speculation as of right now, because all of this volatility is based off of Trump wanting to settle this trade war. So it's not based off of a group or anything like that. It's just based off of Trump and other countries. Have we reached a point where fundamentals don't matter anymore? It seems like it. Markets are just eager to recover. I think that's the best way to put it, which again does make sense because markets have been oversold for some time. And the Tesla excuse or the Tesla recovery is mind-boggling to me. That one really doesn't make sense. The market recovering based off of hope that there is an agreement that comes between the US and China, I get that. Like, hope is, remember, the stock market, as silly as it sounds, the stock market has always been a leading market. It always gets ahead of itself. And then if something doesn't get factored in or wasn't factored in, and then more negative news happens, then that's why there's been huge sell-offs, because the market always gets ahead of itself. It always tries to recover prior to the news coming out. That's why there's that very common saying of buy the rumors, sell the news. So very quick, we have about 1,300 of you guys here. I appreciate you guys taking time. Hopefully I earned your thumbs up. I do want to make you guys aware that Google in the next few minutes, under 3 minutes is when the market closes. They're set to report earnings after the market closes, and Google has an expectation of earnings per share of $2.02 per share and revenue of $89.32 billion. So this would lead to a year-over-year growth. So as long as they are performing better than Tesla, how much worse can it be, right? Google is a very solid company. It's a very well-run company, but we will see. I know a big focus for investors when it comes down to investing into Google is its cloud services, to see if that is still growing year over year, and to see if there's any changes of guidance or expectations for 2025 and maybe early 2026. And I mean this, I'm not here to sugarcoat it. I truly do not know what's going to happen. It looks like markets are eager for Google to absolutely rocket. But we'll see. After the report comes out, we'll see if the markets are even capable of selling off, because I'm sure a lot of you guys felt the same way, that markets were pushing up for no reason, but yet based off of the hope that Google does well and the hope that China settles an agreement with the US. There's still no progress, but at least this will be one of the two, right? So in a few minutes, let's stay patient, stay calculated. I've already had the conversation with our LPP team. During uncertain times, there's nothing wrong with wanting to stay cash. Just a great reminder for some of our beginner traders, okay? We good? Why is your price different? Not too sure. What price does yours show? Huh. Oh, is it because you guys have this one? Yeah, there's Google and then there's Google with an L. It's just a different branch, but it's all the same thing. So, yeah, I know it's confusing. Yeah, we'll just go based off of this one. since more of you guys have it with the L or without the L. Fair? All right. Market closes now. You guys ready? All right. Here we go. I hope that you guys enjoy this little session. We'll see how Google reports once the report comes out. Remember, I've seen it many times where a company reports earnings and it comes out better than expected. It still sells off. It comes out worse than expected. Tesla's a great example, and it shoots up. It's a very tricky time to try to guess not just what the report is going to do, but what the market is going to do. And I think that's the one thing that we can easily see is markets just eager for markets to recover. So it wouldn't really surprise me if markets do push up higher for longer. I don't agree with it, which is why I don't want to trade it, which is why I'm just choosing to stay cash. And again, that's the thing. You can choose to stay cash. Don't put yourself in positions you simply do not want to tolerate. Okay? Definitely. All right, you guys ready? All right. Market is recovering. Why not just buy and stay long? I have a long-term account. This isn't my long-term account. Why would I buy into my investment portfolio? Is very different than my trading portfolio. But no, why would I entertain going long on something that I don't agree with when I expect there to be more of a downturn? But it's just my 2 cents, right? I have my investment account. I have my daughter's investment account, my lady's investment account. Again, I was happy when markets were dipping, not because I was just shorting, but I was buying into them. I was buying into NVIDIA, all of those companies. QQQ. Yeah. Oof. Big push. Big push. Looks like it exceeded expectation. Wait. No way. Markets are pushing. Yep. There it goes. 2.5. Watch for a fake out. Let's see if there's no way. No, it's too green. It's up 4%. Whoa, it's so volatile. Do you see that? It hit 4%, dropped all the way down to 164. Where are we at? No, it's pushing. It's up 3.9, 4% at 168. It's still not updated on mine. It looks green. It looks positive. It looks bullish. You guys seen it? Not green enough. It's holding. Man, it's kind of pulling back a little hard. Let's see. 168. Nope, 168. 169. Pushing 4%. I don't get why it's struggling so much. I mean, it's up 5%. That's a very significant push for a $1 trillion company. There goes 5.4%. There goes 170. Strong push. Meta as well. Meta doesn't report earnings today. Meta's just, right? Almost up 6% on the day. There it goes, 6%, 171. That's weird. NASDAQ is kind of lagging behind. Dude, NASDAQ pushed higher when Tesla reported earnings. That's absolute baloney's. Isn't that terrible? Why? It had to exceed expectation. Yeah, look at that. Holy smokes, bro. Look at that. EPS. BEPS, which is earnings per share, $2.81 is what it reported versus $2.02. Absolutely killed it when it comes down to earnings per share. Revenue, it was slightly greater than what was expected, a 1% surprise above what was expected. 90 billion versus 89 billion. I love it. That's well earned. I like Google. I like that it earned it, right? I would say for all of you guys that are watching, right? We're not surprised. It reported good earnings. Market reacted in a positive way. Watch it do this bullshit where, excuse my language, sorry. I know we have some beginners. Watch it do this, where a company that actually reported better than expected earnings, that it earned it, watch it give it back. This is the part that really pisses a lot of people off about the market, is that because it factors things in advance so much and so often, if it's not as big of a surprise as what was expected, then markets can correct themselves. I'm not saying that it's going to pull on back. I just don't like that it's already lagging. Tesla's reaction was stronger than this, and Tesla reported absolutely terrible earnings. Yeah. Oh. Damn. Wait, it is dropping. No way, it drops back down. Be careful, know when to take profits for those that are choosing to trade it, right? For those that are invested in it, you don't need to celebrate the big pushes, just like you don't need to feel bad about yourself during the big drops, right? Investing is very different than trading. If you traded this thing and it pushed up 5-6% within a few minutes, nothing wrong with taking profits when it makes sense, especially when it's showing signs of resistance. Dude, look at this. Isn't that ridiculous? A company that actually earned positive and better than expected earnings, it's already giving it back. What was Tesla up? 5% for no reason? Isn't that crazy? Isn't that wild that that's the world that we live in today, where our president can promote his meme coin to encourage others to invest into it, which allows him to enrich himself. He can send out messages to move markets in favor of friends. Yeah, we still have the earnings call. And companies that are actually making and exceeding expectation don't have as much of a positive reaction as those that don't. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Let it fall, baby. I know. I mean, there's no reason to fight it. It's holding just fine. It's building an ascending support. So this could actually be a higher low. So a pullback, trying to build a support here. We'll see if it begins to recover. It's still up 4%. Remember, I mean, a 4% push for Google is much better than a 10% push for Tesla, right? I mean, Google's nearly a $2 trillion company. Tesla's not. Tesla shouldn't even be a $700 billion as of right now. Remember when everyone thought Tesla belonged at $500 per share or $1,000 per share? Remember that? And then it was at $1.3 trillion. Now it's at 750 to 800 billion. It doesn't even belong there. This thing belongs right back down at 150 per share. All the way down here. And even then, it's still trading at a huge multiple of what it makes. Dude, look at this. What did we say? What did we say? I'm glad that we talked about it. I'm glad that we made beginners aware. First off, don't be afraid to stay cash. Know when to take profits. But also, this market's just so chaotic. So I can see why maybe a lot of investors, a lot of traders are standoffish. So again, for all those that are listening, that are trading or investing for the first time, this is why we talk about position size management. This is why we talk about don't use leverage when you're just getting into investing into the market, just in case it turns against you. So we'll see. We'll see the way that it goes. I want to remind you, I mean, this is, so for Google did report great earnings. It exceeded expectation for earnings per share. It exceeded revenue. Big push. We'll see when it comes down to the actual, cloud-based services and the kind of like sectors in the company to see if those exceeded expectation. And then it also has an earnings call. It should be in about an hour to an hour and a half. And then you might see a second wave of either buying pressure or selling pressure once that news comes out. So it looks like Google's actually building an ascending support. So it pulled back. It looks like it's trying to establish a higher low. We'll see if it actually does and if it begins to recover. NASDAQ market, again, NASDAQ market was up more after market hours after Tesla reported terrible earnings. It's up only 0.24%. Unfortunate, just because of this piece of shit stock. Look at this. Trying to save Elon and his lack of growth company. You sound like the big... I probably do sound like I hate Elon. I'm actually... I probably sound like a liberal. No, I actually like Elon. I don't like the... My thing is, just like Google, right? I like when companies are showing signs of growth and they earn their growth, right? Like when the stock makes sense and the way that it's performing based off of its results. Tesla doesn't. Tesla has terrible growth. Tesla is not being ran well right now. The stock price should represent that. That's just all I'm saying. But yeah. It shows the manipulation. That's fine. No, I mean, I don't want to get into that. I can entertain it on both sides either way, right? There's a lot of shit talking anyone can do on either side. We were able to do that last year, but now let's be honest, right? We can also do it this year with the Trump administration. Obviously, we had a bunch of shit to say under the Biden administration. I just like to point out things that I don't agree with, both under Biden and under Trump, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I don't care who you voted for. If you cannot see or judge something in a level-headed way because you voted for someone, then I guess that's your problem. Ricky, any tips for Google investors right now? If you're an investor, I mean, first off, you're up, but you have to understand, like, whatever got reported today, it's a positive or negative catalyst for whatever the stock is. But ultimately, if you're an investor, you shouldn't care. You shouldn't technically care how it's doing in the next 5 to 10 minutes, right? The best way that I can put it is that, I would choose to invest in Google. I like the company. That's just my personal opinion. Just because I agree in it doesn't mean that you should. But buying Google now, just because it looks like it's building signs of a support, is very naive. Like, you're never going to be able to time the market perfectly when it comes down to investing, right? That's the whole point. Like, the whole point is for you to get in at a good price. So if you got in down here, it doesn't matter if you got in at 142 or if you got in at 160. Big picture, it's a big growth company. It's one of the Magnificent Seven. They reported great earnings. It's just a bad time. Right now, market conditions, there's uncertainty, there's fear, and there might be more of it. So you have to just ask yourself a simple question. Is the reason that the stock is selling off because of the stock's performance, or is it because of the market's performance? And if it's the market's performance, then again, the way that I see it is then I can take advantage of this uncertainty, buy in at levels that are deals, not trying to time it, just get in at a good deal, and that's always going to fluctuate. Put myself in a position that I can tolerate, that I can manage. This is why we've talked about, even if you just buy one share, do it to prove a point to yourself, that you don't need to learn from someone else's experience. You can learn from your own experience, but do it with a dollar amount that really doesn't mean much to you. So even if you just buy one share, because then if markets do begin to recover, then great. You were able to see why investing during downturns is valuable. That's all, right? You shouldn't be convinced to invest in something. You shouldn't be convinced to buy or sell something. Put yourself in positions in which you can tolerate. Intel reported earnings, INTC, right? That's what it is. Of course, I really do appreciate you taking time and considering my YouTube videos. But one thing that you will always hear me talk about is I always try to look out for beginners. I always try to take risk management into consideration, and I always think about and talk about worst case scenario. That's why a lot of people will comment and say, Ricky, you're always talking about fear. You're always trying to instill fear in the market. Well, everyone else makes content about how much money you're going to make, about how much the market is going to thrive. I want to be someone that makes you aware of the risk. Not that it should scare you, but that simply you can make a more informed decision with that information. So you're not surprised if it does happen. I hope that it doesn't in some sense. Selfishly, I hope that it does because I want markets to drop so I can buy more long term. I don't care much about shorting right now, and I've said this many times. I care more about markets selling off further to get better deals, selfishly. And I'm okay with sharing that with you guys, right? So be intentional, be calculated, and be honest with yourself. You're not going to get rich off of this. People love to sell it and be like, oh, invest in Bitcoin. You're going to make generational wealth. Like, dude, that's all bullshit. You're not going to buy it at 80,000. And even if it goes to 100,000 or 150, Cool, you doubled your money. Let's say that you bought $1,000 worth of it. Now you have 2,000. Best case scenario. Again, be realistic with yourself. The whole point is this sustainable over a long period of time? Just ask yourself one simple question. So if you're looking into investing, invest in a calculated way. Invest because it makes sense to you. You shouldn't be convinced to do it. You should do it because you're intrigued, you're curious, and you want to learn more about it. Do it tastefully. Even if it's just a fraction of a share. Buy one share. You don't have to buy $1,000 worth of it. You don't even have to buy 500. For some people, that's a lot of money, and I respect that. The whole point is keep it tasteful. Do it so you can learn from it, not because you think you're going to make it or break it. Hope that makes sense. Bitcoin will hit 1 million at one point, Ricky. Yeah, Bitcoin will also possibly go back to $15,000 per coin. Okay, I can throw random numbers out there too. What's the purpose behind it? Nothing. Again, if Bitcoin is so valuable, buy it all. Please keep it. You don't need to keep shoving it down people's mouths so we feed into your Ponzi scheme. No one cares for it. Everyone keeps trying to convince you, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. Why? No one's convincing people that they need to buy NVIDIA. They're talking about it. Maybe that's an investment, but they don't get offended if other people don't do it. We don't care, right? Simple. No one cares about your Bitcoin or your altcoin or your shitcoin for a reason. Easy. Yeah. Google pulling back. Again, not surprised. This market's super volatile. So is the earnings call going to be live streamed? I believe I'm not going to live stream it. I just was going to go live with you guys here for about 15 to 20 minutes. We live stream the earnings report. So for those that are tuning on a little bit later, amazing earnings per share, amazing revenue or exceeded revenue. It beat it. Unfortunately, it looks like market might have overreacted and it looks like it's retracing a little bit. Maybe there's some uncertainty, right? There's specific sectors that a lot of that Wall Street likes to focus on. I'll look a little bit more into it and maybe upload a video a little bit later today. Does that sound like a plan? Look at Meta, Ricky. Man, my eyesight's going bad. Yeah, Meta's looking overbought. Some pretty decent pullback potential. Easy. Friday pullback. I don't know. Markets look eager to recover. This week was a really good week for the bulls, right? The past 3 days, so yesterday was kind of sideways, but there was a big gap up. Past 3 days have been bullish for the market. I want to remind you that, right? Past 3 days have been good for the market. The past, 3 to 4 months have been bearish. So again, we're in the early stages of a possible reversal, but also don't be surprised if we end up getting rejected here. We'll probably just go back to retest on QQQ, 430, 420 per share, right? Don't be surprised by it, right? Nothing has changed. Trade war is still going on. Uncertainty about the Federal Reserve cutting interest rates is still present, and more companies are set to report earnings. I would say that at least it makes sense on why Google is in the green. Google reported great earnings. You have to acknowledge, and respect that. They're doing their part and showing results. Hopefully the rest of the market carries their own weight, right? This was a big win for NASDAQ. Unfortunately, if you're not happy with the way that Google reacted, it's probably because it got ahead of itself. Markets were pushing up before probably expecting Google to report good earnings. That's just the unfortunate part about this, is that markets always get ahead of themselves. But it's okay, right? We got nothing but time. There's no reason to rush into it. You can go long, you can go short, put your money where your mouth is, right? If that's what you want to do. Nonetheless, there's a lot of opportunity for those that are just wanting to get invested and just, and Google is just one of them, but there's a lot of good companies out there that are still oversold. Not that you should buy a bunch of it right now, because we don't know if markets are going to downturn more, but there's nothing wrong with having that conversation and beginning to create an investment or trade plan. So we'll see. I personally do want markets to drop a little bit further, just so I can selfishly buy at lower levels. But that's it. I've already been buying into the lows. I just want to buy more. That's all. Okay. What companies are oversold? I guess if you're asking that question, then you need to take some time to understand what that means. Are you still thinking that we are in a bull trap? Well, yeah. If you look at NASDAQ, you look at the 4-hour time frame, we have had a really nice rally. We've become overbought. We'll see if the momentum continues. I guess we'll see on the retracement. If on the retracement, because it's going to pull back eventually. So when it pulls back, if it built an ascending support, that's a really good sign for the bulls. If it pulls back and continues to sell off right back down to lows of 430 and 420, then that's showing still a lot of signs of uncertainty and weakness. So I'm taking it day by day, week by week, just like many of you guys. I'm just trying to do my part in learning more about, hey, is progress actually happening, or is the market just factoring in things in advance and hoping that it does? So you almost have to play with it, because the market always gets ahead of itself. But then if it does later on have the news to support it, then that's where things can really get going. So just keeping a balanced approach when it comes down to that, right? So are you going to short MSTR again? I would love to. I would love to, maybe when it gets, even at these levels. Looks like Bitcoin's already struggling, 350. Just like last time, remember we always used to short it when it was at 400 down to 300. And then a lot of people got lucky and shorted it all the way down to 220. Obviously, it's a terrible company, but it's all based off of Bitcoin's price. So as long as market conditions are bullish, it gives crypto the environment to do well. And right now, market conditions are hopeful. So Bitcoin is doing well. So MSTR is doing well. But once and if we get confirmation of more uncertainty, what do you think is going to happen to MSTR and to Bitcoin? Not rocket science, right? We all know that. So I appreciate your guys' time. I hope that you guys enjoyed this little live session. Thank you guys again for tuning on in to Google earnings. Google exceeded expectation for both earnings per share and revenue. But again, like we said, for investors, just as much as it pushed up, even if it ends up selling off, it shouldn't scare you. And if it does, then that simply means that your position size is just too large and you can't tolerate it. For traders, I hope that you did your part in taking profits when it makes sense. I hope to see for some of you that are part of LPP or that join overnight. If you end up wanting to watch me trade live, it's the second link in the description down below. You don't have to join. You can just watch a bunch of our free videos here on YouTube. But again, if you want access to these daily live sessions, then again, it's the second link in the description down below. I appreciate your guys' time. I hope that we're under thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.